Welcome to Garage Files. Every episode, we take one nominal band from the annals of garage rock history, breaking down their story, their sound, and their impact. Today, we're talking about some flower power because today we're focusing on one of the greatest garage rock bands in American history, the Seeds. Some call it freak beat, some call it acid rock, some call it flower power, others just call it garage. But whatever the subgenre, no one does rock and roll like the Seeds. In the early 60s, a young lad named Sky Saxon moved to Los Angeles to pursue a singing career under the name Richie Marsh. He did all right for himself as a solo artist until one day in 1965, he responded to an ad that a band had placed looking for a rock and roll singer. The band consisted of Sky Saxon as lead singer, keyboardist Daryl Hooper, Jan Savage and Jeremy Levine on guitar, and Rick Andridge on drums. Jeremy Levine didn't make it very long. He left after one recording. But there, lo and behold, began the Seeds. So let's talk about their records. In March of 1965, the Seeds released their very first record single on Crescendo Records. It was called Can't Seem to Make You Mine. Know it? It started out getting really late night airplay, but eventually it grew in popularity and began playing in much better time slots all around Southern California. Though it didn't really hit national charts yet. Come November, the band released a second single, Pushin' Too Hard. Now, it too was pretty slow with airplay, only playing late night hours, poor time slots, infrequently. But this wouldn't last too long. In 1966, the Seeds released their first self-titled record, The Seeds, on Crescendo Records. It peaked at 132 on the charts, Billboard Top LPs and Tapes. And then in 1967, Pushin' Too Hard reached number 36 on the charts. And finally, people were beginning to recognize the greatness of the Seeds. In October of 1966, the Seeds released their second full-length record on Crescendo Records called A Web of Sound, not pictured here. The album didn't chart, but it received great reviews from critics across the board. Unfortunately, a great album doesn't always make a popular one. But in 1967, the Seeds released their third record on Crescendo Records called Future, with a dramatic shift in sound. The once garage band was now pumping out sophisticated full orchestra psychedelia, the likes of which could only be rivaled by the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which critics found frightfully and skeptically similar to Future. But make no mistake, the Seeds started recording and writing Future well before they could have been influenced by the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's. So their similarities are purely coincidental and stand as effigies to the time that they lived in, a time fueled by hope, curiosity, and experimentation. And what can I say? They're both great records. In 1968, the Seeds released one final record on Crescendo, and that was called Raw and Alive. Now, the record unfortunately didn't do very well, and thusly began the Seeds' descent into nothingness. It changed names a few times, and the lineup changed frequently and drastically. Only ever original member was Sky Saxon. Until in 2003, when Sky Saxon reunited the band with some original members, some new, and that band toured and remained a band until Sky Saxon's unfortunate death in 2009. Sky Saxon, you will be missed. So let's talk about the sound. The Seeds' sound started out much like any garage rock bands. Guitar strikes that were bold on every beat, arpeggiating keyboards, pounding rhythm sections that threatened to go on forever, and boyish vocals with the occasional mean streak. And shall we talk gear? Guitarist Jan Savage favored a Fender Mustang, but also used a Vox Bobcat through a Super Beetle amp. Drummer Rick Andridge played what looks in pictures to be like a Ludwig kit. That seems pretty appropriate for the time, though that is not definitive information. Don't hold me to it. Keyboardist Daryl Hooper was playing the Wurlitzer with a sound uniquely his own, which made the Seeds one of the first bands ever to utilize keyboard bass lines. Paired with his swirly-whirly, octave-jumping riffs, it was Hooper's keyboard playing that eased the transition of the Seeds from the garage rock band they were known for to the beautiful psychedelia so seamlessly. But the Seeds did one thing better than anyone else. Each of their songs was rife with an effortless cool, giving the listener a sense of that don't give a damn attitude. I don't know, maybe it's the tambourine. Tambourines always just scream sunglasses and tight pants, don't they? So why haven't you heard of them? Why hasn't everybody heard of them? Well, maybe it's because living in a time where music is so readily available everywhere, good music is actually kind of hard to find. The culture is saturated with algorithmically designed hits and catchphrase machines. We've forgotten what it's like to be poignant and visceral and truly penetrated. But those are all the best qualities of real rock and roll. And they're why Facebook will never validate you like a song can. They're why going to the record store is good for your soul. And it's why the Seeds cannot and will not be forgotten. So here's to the Seeds. Thank you for pushing so hard. I'm May McDonough. This has been Garage Files. Keep on keeping on.